Hello, everybody. This is Anna Crichton here, chatting with you from my Churros office. Churros Head, Australia, very close to the Pacific Ocean, about 800 meters away. I have a question for you today, a question that, if you give it some thought, could really redirect your life. And I'm not kidding. This is one of the most important questions I ask my clients, especially at the beginning of therapy. And the question is this: what is your biggest asset in this life? What is your biggest asset? And most people look at me not quite getting what I mean. They don't want to give a wrong answer, so they mostly ask for an explanation. What do you mean? What do you mean the biggest asset? To make it simpler for them and for you, I ask them this. Okay, let's talk about your financial assets. What is your biggest financial asset? And funnily enough, most people don't mind this question because in therapy, you ask all sorts of intimate questions, including where they are at financially. Now, for those who are a little bit shy about talking about their finances, I just say, okay, here is a piece of paper and a pencil, and write the answers to my questions. You don't have to share. So the question is this: what is your biggest financial asset? And I get all sorts of answers in all seriousness. So some will say, oh, you know what? I just got myself a BMW. That surely must be my biggest financial asset. And some other people will say, well, my house, of course. You know, houses in Australia are extremely expensive. $1 million won't get you a great deal in Sydney. It will get you something a little bit better in Canberra, but not an extremely sort of great place either. So most people will actually say, well, my biggest financial asset is my house. I don't dispute, I don't argue, I just ask them to do some calculations. And I say, okay, how much is this asset, whatever it is that you've delegated, how much is it worth? So here they start the calculations, okay? And they would write something like, okay, my house is worth $900,000. All right, the next question is, how much have you actually paid off? Well, about 200,000, close to 200,000, and I still owe 700,000. But in a few years' time, the prices will go up and it will be over $1 million and so on. All right. And here comes my answer to that question. It's not your car that's your biggest asset. In fact, if this is what you think, you have lost several $1,000s as soon as you have driven your car out of the car dealer's place. And it's not even your house, no matter how much or how little you have paid, what a fantastic deal you got on it. Your asset is you, more specifically your brain. And the other asset that you have is your time on this earth. Now that is a huge asset because you have a certain amount of time here. And if you waste it, if you invest it badly, you won't get it back. That doesn't mean that you have to work hard 24 hours a day. Not at all. It means that you have to actually give it some thought and see how you want to invest that asset, that time. We all get the same amount of hours in the day, namely 24. And most of the time, and most of us, are just allowing the time to go any which way. we are not really taking care of how we distribute that time, how we invest that time. So you have two biggest assets on this earth in this lifetime, and that's your brain and that's your time here. How do you take care of your assets? Say if you consider your car an asset, don't you take it for car repairs and maintenance? Don't you always find the money to do that, especially before you have to re-register it once a year, like in Australia? You will spend the money to make sure that you take care of that asset, that it provides safety and comfort. You take care, hopefully, of your house. You repair and maintain it so it doesn't go into ruin because you have paid a certain amount of money for it. My question now is, how do you take care of your brain and of your time? How do you take care of those two most important assets on earth, your brain and your time? These are two very important questions that I want to leave you with until tomorrow. Thank you.